Hello and welcome to This and That. I'm Dave Leese.
And I'm Jonathan Byer. Hi, Dave.
Hi, this is the skating lesson. We are going to discuss everything going on in the figure skating world this week. So if you are new here, please subscribe below and join me in just smashing that like button. Let's put our cursors over it together. Let's hit it. Let's click it and let's do it. All right. So a lot has happened this week. So much so it feels like it was a slow week in terms and not a slow week, and things are going on. So the first thing that happened since we recorded the last show is that John Zimmerman was suspended by Safe Sport for 2 years for his role in the Morgan Cipres scandal and situation.
I know, I was like, what does one call it? Yeah.
And I think it's just like a really interesting situation where now we're like, so he's been suspended for 2 years. Sylvia and Vinny was the guy who bet the pizza story, got 6 months probation. Now, I think what's also interesting is that this story is really only being reported on by Christine and very limited outlets. And there are different reasons. There are lawyers involved, but also, the interest in skating and such and what we're dealing with. But there's no one is saying anything, but things are posted like on Instagram stories. Sylvia Fontana posted something about truth mattering, or the truth, or the truth needs to come out, which, okay.
Of course it does.
Of course, of all the people are like, well, and everyone deserves a platform, right? But then if you're on one side, should they just shut up? But social reputation. Morgan had the temerity to post something about him wearing a shirt talking about if he's in hell, at least he'll be with friends. And it was posted 30 minutes after the article came out. So not the best timing or response or way of handling this. And I think it speaks to perhaps a larger narcissism about the kinds of situations that you got into in the first place. I don't think it was a good look for Morgan in the long run. Vanessa has been very quiet. There have been rumors that she's partner hunting, whether it's for shows, whether it's for competition, who knows, but she is in Canada, or was in Canada, and moving along that way. So I think it's a really awkward situation where I think no one wants to express ownership or anything over it, because I wonder if they could still be sued for it, where you can't say anything. So,
and my question to you, Dave, then is Safe Sport is exclusively a US organization, is that correct? Okay, and so then we had talked previously, and I was unsure, how did the French Federation sort of settle this finally? With Morgan's skating?
Officially or unofficially?
What was their official take? I thought that he had been suspended for a brief period of time or something.
I don't remember exactly, but look, he's in real estate and not involved in skating at all. And I think that is very clear that there's the official rule and the unofficial rule. He's obviously, I think his career in skating is suspended to the point of dead on arrival. I think, I do not think Natalie wants to put up with this situation. So whether or not it is official that he can't skate or unofficial that he can't skate, I believe he can't skate.
Okay.
Right? Vanessa is certainly not skating with him right now. And
if you
I think they didn't have enough evidence, is my understanding at that point in France, I thought. But this story has gone dormant, come back, gone dormant again. You don't hear anything, and it's so convoluted because they switched ranks from one rank to another, and there's the cast of characters that's been published and the unpublished cast of characters, and when you connect all the dots, I think it's a really interesting situation. I don't know if it's really over or not. I think, they could always appeal, but I think it's interesting that John was suspended for 2 years. Sylvia got probation for 6 months. So Sylvia was still at a competition this weekend. And I think people will have a lot of questions about whether or not does that mean that they can just keep coaching? Was this some sort of a deal? There are so many things that we don't know. And I think one of the things that's really frustrating about Safe Sport is that they never really issue a final report. You find out what the charges were or why someone was punished, but you don't find out the methodology behind it. And I don't know exactly what the rumors are. It's supposed to be somewhat confidential, and maybe there would be information that came out where you could tell who the parties were, even though everyone kind of knows who the parties were. I think the process is imperfect. And I think that it leads to lots of innuendo, gossip, and scandal. And I think that the way that it is written, it's vague enough that someone could come back or couldn't come back. You could say that someone's reputation is tarnished forever, and maybe some cases they are. But I think if someone's talented enough as a coach and they do come back, and maybe they shouldn't come back, they could spin it that they were wronged in some way. And I think by not having any information there, it's a really unsettling thing. Like, what did happen? What did the final investigation show? Because this particular story has had so many rumors, suggestions, half-truths, people speaking off the record about it, that, and I think the same thing with John Coughlin to a large degree, is that that story was so befuddled, in the way it was, exposed. What did Safe Sport have? When did it start? I think a final report, at least of high level information, I think would be very appropriate, even for the community, even for protecting, to say that, we got this report here. We started investigating the date of the alleged incident. It was this. We started hearing it this. The charges were this. There was this kind of evidence to support it, maybe without, keeping it high level, without too much. And I think that there's a problem that it doesn't, because it does lead to people feeling like they could be railroaded. There are people that think that coaches can do this for retaliation, and there's just a lot of distrust within the system. And I don't think that it's necessarily beneficial for any of the sides to come out with it. I don't think, if you're someone who believes that, let's say that your child was abused by a coach and you would like to protect them and, want some sort of punishment, and then people will say that this was sour grapes or whatnot, or if it's going to damage your career in skating, I think that there needs to be an overhaul into how things are published and done. But that's just my opinion. It just seems very strange to me that even though someone was suspended for 2 years, which is substantial, are we going off of the word of one person versus another? Are we going off of text messages? What is evidence? And
Dave, when they say suspended like that, do they just mean that they don't want them physically in the arenas in the United States, or they're not to work with US athletes? Because, for instance, we know with other coaches that have received kind of bans from the USFS, they can still go to other countries or train skaters and this sort of stuff.
That's the thing. I mean, Stratinsky, Genrich, is banned in the US, but is coaching in China. High-level skaters working, in rinks, definitely with, certainly national development skaters, if not on the national team. So that is interesting to me, the way that this can all work. I think there's a lot of speculation about what would happen to John and Sylvia because she's Italian. Would they go to Italy? Would they go to France to coach? I think. And
in today's day and age, does Zoom coaching count? We see all of these coaches virtually coaching, and what I can't imagine they have that ironed out, that kind of protocol.
He certainly can't work with USFS athletes. If you want to work with another organization and try to do that, then it's who do you get your insurance from? But he is not supposed to work with US athletes. Okay. He technically could probably coach Kevin Amos if France were to overlook it. But then that's on France, what they want to deal with the situation. And so yes, John could technically coach Kevin. But then you wonder, at the end of the suspension, at the end of the 2 years, if you're known to be coaching athletes in another country, will you ever get your accreditation back in the US? Right. I think it's almost better to, take 2 years off and work in real estate for 2 years or something, or whatever someone would do in kind of that situation. It's hard. It's it's a tough situation. A lot of, I think it's unfortunate that someone can't just admit that they made a mistake now without then legal ramifications, and then there's feathering, and I think there's just no resolution for anyone. It's a difficult situation. I don't know. It's hard to know without all of the facts being spelled out and what they had and who knew what, because things happen in a rink. People are going to know about it, right?
Yeah.
So if this happened and the rink manager didn't know about it, why didn't they know about it? Because then, okay, one of the charges is that Morgan was coaching the victim. Well, Morgan isn't Safe Sport approved. So he didn't have credentials to coach here. So if that is happening, and that's only been alleged, would the rink manager know about it? Would John and Sylvia? It certainly seems like they would have to know about it if it's their athlete. So it gets to who knew things and why, and how many things were going on, and what else is going on in these rinks. So I think it's a really interesting situation. I will say that it woke a lot of people up in a shocked fashion, because I think it's one of the first times that someone has been disciplined who wasn't seen as a known bad apple. This is seen as someone who's very likable, very congenial, and now they're getting suspended for perhaps a mistake that was made, or something more. We don't know, and you don't know.
Right.
But I think it is waking. I think it's, in some respects, I think it's good that other people that I know, that I got a lot of phone calls when he was suspended, that people were processing, what had happened. So because usually when someone is suspended and it's like, someone's a super predator and they get suspended, but for knowing and not reporting or covering up information and this sort of thing, this is a newer situation.
Well, like, for instance, I mean, obviously there's been much discussion and articles about the Richard Callahan situation. And then you see like these sort of slap on the wrist seemingly things, and to know he's still even quasi coaches. So one almost dismisses the severity sometimes of these suspensions. But of course, John and Sylvia in their prime coaching years.
I mean, I think there's statute of limitations all around, because with Callahan, who knew what and didn't report? There could be a lot of people. There are people at USFS staff who you could say knew things or should have known, or, right? So in Peter Obergaard's situation, there's a lot of who knew what, when, where. And I don't think that there's a lot of accountability going on with that, but I think that this is one step towards the culture changing, because I think so.
And it is a culture, you're right. I mean, it is so ingrained in them. And I think that's why so many of them, even, I keep going back to that Svetlana article, that sometimes people are confused why people are upset by this. I think because it's so ingrained in them that this is how this works. And it's been, this kind of abuse has been passed down generation to generation in the styles of coaching. And you got to like rip the rug out from under everybody.
Yes. I will be very curious to see what happens going forward. But I do think that rinks will be forced to take things rather seriously and move kind of like high schools. And maybe I think that they will become more strict in that respect, because there's a lot of things happening. It's just like a strange, it's a unique culture. There's just such a mishmash of people and things happening. And
well, and it's interesting because even so, I'm teaching now at this Curtis Institute program, and there are some younger students
in Italy this summer.
Well, that's in Italy, but this is starting this spring, and it's done virtually. And there's some teenagers, like pre-conservatory students. I had to be thumbprinted. They had to do my background checks, and anything we do that's virtual, which is all the lessons and stuff like that, will be recorded.
Yeah.
And they were like, that's as much for their protection as it is yours.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, I see these institutions that have to go through all of these things to ensure everyone's safety. And it does seem like perhaps at the ice rinks, it's just a little behind the times.
I will say that when people were doing off-ice Zoom classes, they were all being recorded, and there were people, and I don't know if that was, I know that Canada had different rules than the US did, but I do know that it was definitely something that was being discussed. And but I don't know that, I mean, does every rink have to have cameras? I don't know, right? Like there are so many situations you're not sure about. I know that some rinks definitely have cameras. So
because something we didn't talk about last week was that video that surfaced of that coach like throwing the young Russian boy onto the girl, I can't remember right now. Arina Slutskaya, I thought, posted it. And it was again
posting it. So
okay. It was just this footage. And when you have that footage, it is undeniable what just happened.
I thought it, so to me, I was so struck by the caption. And did Voloshyzhar right that we're accustomed to seeing this from foreign coaches, but not from Russian coaches? And I thought, that's, honey, that is like the stereotype of certain countries and their coaching. And
because remember, there was that other Russian video that surfaced where we were watching someone's program, and in the background, some coach, wasn't it someone who had worked with
the Pogorilaya's coach?
Yeah, was like twisting someone around and like hurtling them across the ice. It's horrifying. And that's what's on film.
Yes.
Yeah. It's terrible. Especially then as you had us watching the novice skaters, and you're like, these are children. These aren't NFL athletes that.
So on one hand, well, I think that's part of the interesting nature of the sport is that on one hand, they are children. Some of those girls were going for quads. I mean, this is no joke.
Yeah.
Okay, 11 or 12 years old, doing exceedingly dangerous maneuvers. It seems like there's no stopping it.
Right.
Whether or not they're going to be able to perform them later on is anyone's guess. How long can the body withstand this while growing? I think we're learning perhaps not long. But it certainly is interesting that it is happening. It's pushing forward.
Like I have some questions for you, Dave, like in the novice level, because I'm a little less familiar. We've watched juniors, obviously, all the time.
Russia has their own rules because they have their own events here. You know, they have that event where they all do their jump elements.
Right.
And then they put on, usually they do an old program and do just jumps and spins to it. Like, I mean, they have their own situation happening here.
But like, if you're a US novice skater, about what technical content are you putting in? As I saw these girls trying quads and all this.
We are like, the rest of the world is so behind. They are so organized at such a young age. And maybe this is an event that maybe it should be put in. If you have to do a triple Lutz 4 times potentially, I mean, some of those were doing triple Lutz, maybe 2 different variations. I'm not exactly sure what the difference in the first and second attempt is, but they were doing 2 solo attempts. And sometimes they would switch the jump and sometimes they would not. And not being well versed in the advanced novice rules of Russia, I am just watching and observing and not right. I thought it was interesting. I thought a great training tool, probably not a bad competitive tool. They're learning to compete under pressure. They're learning consistency, and many of them would do triple Lutz, triple toe, and triple Lutz, triple loop. I mean, you go back and watch 2010 nationals or 2000. Like, the girls there couldn't do the triple to begin with, and these advanced novice skaters now all have them, and if they don't, they will never be competitive. It was fascinating to watch.
Yeah,
and I don't know if it was fascinating in a horrifying way or fascinating in a this is reality way. I mean, everything, right?
All these triples, but it was really the quad attempt that I was like, oh my gosh, like,
which was under and fallen on by Alisa, but and there but you notice that there was such drama with Kostornaia being switched. And I noticed a couple of things here. First of all, Plushenko and his student were outraged that they lost.
She was lovely.
She's an incredible talent. She has great jumping ability. I believe she used to be with Sambo and then switched over. But has been one of the more loyal members of one of the more loyal angels of Plushenko. This Sofia Titova, I noticed that she jumps more with her legs. It looks like he's employing more of the Mishin jump technique than you would imagine. She has long legs, but they don't seem to hinder her jumping at all. She's a very nice ride over the ice. And there's an element of performance there, but she's still maybe 11 years old or 12, getting to Je suis malade, and it's very heavy.
Oh my gosh. The alcoholic that wants to kill herself because her lover left. Yeah.
I mean, it's, I think that there's work to be done choreographically, but there's potential. I think it's hard for an 11 or 12-year-old to something that heavy and emotional to be performing, even though it's a lovely piece. Not for that age, but I think that I watch this event, and look, in the US, it's a curse to win novice. So, and I don't know if that's for a lot of reasons. People get a lot of success early. They start to expect success. Then when they start to lose, the family starts to freak out, then because you know you're going to grow and change. It's very unusual to win every single level. Usually the kids that are just like at nationals every year are the ones that really kind of survive and make it. And there are people like Gracie who didn't make it and then made it, and then, right? I mean, I imagine the fact that there was such drama over who won the advanced novice, you could tell how competitive skating is in Russia.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that she's at any risk of not making the Olympics because she didn't win here. I think Sofia Titova is just fine.
Yeah, exactly.
But for them, this is the biggest deal of their life. And this shows you how intense skating parents are at any level. They are fully invested by advanced novice. This is their career, and they are in it to win it. And the mom is liking things on Instagram. I mean, who knows if she really wrote this status or her mom did, but she said that she was robbed of the title like her coach, Evgeni Plushenko, was at the 2010 Olympics. And that
then don't watch our Patreon judging episode because
we had different views on that. Plushenko was replying to her, and this is a circus. So their claim, and this could very well be true, I did not time the program, is that she did a triple Lutz Euler triple sow. Incredible, this is happening in their
advanced novice, age 11, yeah.
Approximately, she might be 12, she might be 10, who knows.
Well, she was 10 in 2020. I did look it up because I was curious. As soon as I heard Je suis malade on, I was like, how old?
I wasn't invited to her birthday party. I don't remember when she was born.
You didn't get the invite?
We did not. Okay.
Oh, it was at Moscow Chuck E. Cheese. We had a blast. Yeah, we missed you.
The kids were not allowed to eat anything. There was no pizza.
Exactly. They were doing like triple somersaults into the.
We had a crudité platter, and it was delicious. No ranch dressing.
Amazing.
Oil and vinegar.
In honor of her Euler. Yeah. Okay.
She did a great, so she posted this thing, and they claimed that it was supposed to be in the bonus and it didn't get bonus points.
Oh, well,
could you imagine if Russian skating is rigged at that level? I mean, by the way, in juvenile intermediate here, those kinds of allegations happen all the time.
Right.
In adult skating, those allegations happen all the time. There are adult skaters who will go up to the judges and let the caller know that they were incorrect about their spin levels. And I'm of two minds of this. Well,
there's video, right? So it's like, let's consult the video.
Yeah, but adult standards and international standards are very different.
One would hope, yeah.
At the same level. What is a discernible shape? What are you going to call? Maybe more challenging at the adult level. How forgiving are you going to be? Also, you have to kind of look at, like, if you're planning on competing for several years, if you're Sofia, do you want to go to war with the judges when you're a novice?
Right.
By saying that you robbed me and potentially the federation, and go to battle now with them when you do not have the power because you are not with Sambo 70, you are not with the chosen school. Do you want to go to war now? Like, is this, do you think that they're going to be nicer to you next year? Or are they going to be like, oh, there's that bratty kid, arrogant?
Well, it's interesting actually, because speaking of Patreon, when we were doing all those ladies events from like the early 2000 Worlds and Olympics and all that sort of stuff, we would always see Irina and Maria and all of these sort of Russian skaters literally booing their own marks in the kiss and cry. But of course, that was an international panel. But I thought the same thing. Are you encouraging those same judges to score you higher next time? Or are you trying to lay a platform for something that I'm missing?
You know, I think there are different views on sportsmanship in different cultures. And I don't know what they are, and I can't answer.
Especially then versus now. That was 20 years ago. But
because in the US, you're supposed to say, oh, I just hope I go out and do my very best, as if you're a female. And, oh, I won? Oh, that's great, right? Meanwhile, everyone...
What a consolation prize,
And there are so many things there. There's Johnny Weir getting a 3.75 by Joe Inman. And Joe Inman being like, well, you deserved a 3.75, or someone being like, that's when you're top skaters that you're sending to the Worlds and you're sent to the Olympics, and you're sending a message that you don't like them and you're Frank's judge. And maybe you're doing a little dirty work, and maybe there's a little animosity built in there, and maybe that's a little harsh compared to what it should be, right? So there's so many different political things going on with the judging. I just think that the USFS judges would nail you for it the next year.
Yeah.
It's one of the hard things about being in a judge sport. It's not on a clock. And in skating, it's not like you can submit an inquiry. Like gymnastics, it's not typically reviewed by a coach if a call is disagreed with. So...
yeah, it's interesting. In skating, we don't really see too many of those kinds of reversals. I always remember the one that hit the mainstream in gymnastics when it was with the men. Yeah. It was somebody's difficulty. And then was it Paul Ham?
Paul Ham.
Ham, excuse me, won, but maybe shouldn't have won, but he wouldn't give back the medal or something. It was something, I remember him losing a lot of points.
It went to the Court of Arbitration for sport, so.
Because we had something like that in pairs, didn't we? Like back in like the 60s or something. And they awarded like the silver medal pair. Was it the German pair? Someone can write this in the comments. There was like an old school situation about something with, I thought it was an Olympic podium, but I could be mistaken.
Something happened. Yes, I feel like you're right. I vaguely remember this.
And they went back and gave the silver medalist the thing because they disqualified or something. But yeah, but in recent years, of course, not really.
I know. I feel like you need to decide, is the advanced novice title the most important thing to you?
Right. Well, it's hard for someone that age to be able to zoom out for the bigger picture. You're not aiming for this competition. Parents. Yeah, and this is something I especially notice in the US. If I'm ever at like a live skating event, I'm sure you run into this at the rink all the time, and you meet like a skating mother, or maybe they're still involved with the sport and their kid used to skate. They then will go into this whole soliloquy on why their kid wasn't at the Olympics. You know, like their kid skated, they would have been the best, but you know, the knee. Or, you know, so-and-so was in the rink, so they were never going to get the attention. There's always this like weird justification for like a lack of results that they had dreamt of or something. It's really kind of sad.
Because a driven kid, I don't know if the driven parent is born or created or what comes first, but they have their own competitiveness, and it does create these situations. So, and I'm sure that's where you need the coach to weigh in and say, we're going to shut our mouths,
right? And
we're going to work harder and make sure that we can win by a mile.
I think of Frank and Michelle when she was an arguable fourth at that World Championships, and they didn't complain nonstop. They just pivoted. They didn't make excuses. They made adjustments.
Yes. Well, even so, was looking at Johnny Weir's book again because Josh P is taking lessons from Galina, and he was reading parts, and so I went to look at it, and he was talking about when he got that mark from Joe Inman and how upset they were by it, and different things that had happened over the years with them in the US Federation, and that Galina would always be like, of course they're doing this to you, like you need to shut up and just like take it.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing is that, you know, they really felt robbed in 2008, and many people did. And it was a huge deal when Evan and Johnny tied, and many people felt that maybe Evan got generous calls and that, right? And this whole situation happened. And she was like, shut up. And she tried to spin it to positive, and she said, you come out the angel in this situation. People are saying you were robbed. This is great publicity. And
as long as you stay quiet about it.
Yes.
That's the thing. And yeah.
So, and you know, she said it. Originally, there were comments on YouTube being like, she was robbed. But different cultures, different things about who can say what. But I would look back and be like, I don't want to listen. If Lori Parker gives me a mark, thank you, Lori. Thank you for your
constructive criticism. Yeah.
Joe Inman, thank you. I will take your musical suggestions into accountability. I will be on the music. I think that is so right. I think that was such valuable feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And you move along. You move along.
Right.
You send them a Christmas card.
Invite them to the wedding.
You accept their Facebook request. You like every post they do on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And you move along.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Great seeing you. Hope to see you again. In the US, they are going to nail you. So you have to. That's the reality of a judge sport. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You want to make.
You have to play that game if you're in it, unfortunately. Yeah.
Do you think Michelle ever went up to a judge and was like, you robbed me?
Yeah, exactly.
You let Christine Brennan say it, and you sit back.
Right.
And oh, that's so nice. Thank you for supporting my skating. Now we have this girl who's like, but you know what also I thought was hysterical is remember last summer, Kostornaia switched outside of the official transfer period. She was still technically representing Sambo 70 all year because of when she switched. And remember, the other coaches were outraged by this. And as Terry was, you know, we gave her programs, we spent so much time on her. And this was like the biggest deal ever. This was all about money. By the way, this was all posturing. This is all about who gets what funding and egos, right? But Daria Sadkova, I made a mistake when I posted something because forgetting this situation, she was not listed as a Sambo 70 athlete on the results. She must have switched outside the transfer period.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, it literally works both ways. And did you notice that about a week and a half ago, the biggest story was that Kostornaia owed Plushenko money? We don't hear about that at all anymore. What happened there? How come that's just been dropped? Like,
we're just on to now Sofia's robbed. Yeah, now we're on to the next thing.
But did they just kind of take it on the chin and move along? I mean, he's clearly not in the power seat with the federation, but how did that all just magically go away? There's just like a lot of, I think a lot of things going on behind the scenes in this skating. And why did they say that? And right? I mean, there's so much negotiation going on. Right. He's going to Worlds with Trusova. Maybe they're going to get some sort of support, or who knows? I mean, listen, if you could guarantee my skater got at least a silver medal, I would. Listen, he has a very expensive rink and they need someone to be a champion in order to fill it. Okay, what happened when Dimitri Mociano built the Dominic Mociano Academy and then she wasn't training there and they had to sell it, okay? Because you need a star gymnast. Simone Biles is packing her parents' gym because she is there and everyone just wants to soak up the energy. And they brought in coaches. So I think with this, you need star power. And that's what he's betting on to fill it for right now. But did any of that? I thought the girls were mostly interchangeable. I did think that, my overall impressions, they were all nice. I think.
Interchangeable is a good word.
I think Sofia had the most physical athletic talent. I thought Daria Sadkova had nice skating skills, a really nice soft knee, nice ride over the ice, and a great double axel that looked like it could become a triple. But at the same point, has a little bit of the Valyeva pause and crank in between the jumps and the combination. And it worried me that some of the Atari girls, especially Daria, were doing all of the jumps with the arms aloft, and it looked clearly to get rotation. And then you just wonder if the rotation isn't there, and how is it going to be when they grow? That is what I was kind of.
Which isn't this so funny? Because like back in the day, and I do mean back in the day, when we would see those arms aloft, it was always discussed how amazing this was because it makes it so much more difficult. And then somehow with this like sort of turn in their technical approach, it's been like a kickstand or like some sort of like training wheel thing. It's just so funny, like from like the Tano Lutz, that kind of stately arm made the jump so much more impressive. And now it seems like these are training wheels.
So it is a different timing, and it's something else to learn. And I think the challenging part is that you have to risk your triplets to learn it like this, right? You have,
right.
But
right.
It does become a technique in how you generate the rotation. And then it just becomes how you do the jump.
Right.
Right? And I think
I don't see, for instance, Valieva able to do her triple axel without it.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that is her technique.
Yeah.
And I think rumors that, Shirvakova's been working on it. I mean, they must be replicating this technique. It looks like they're teaching the young girls this, but is it going to work with time? I don't know. It's like you watch this and you're like, these are like lab rats that are learning the technique, and they are. Also, Sergei Dudikov looked so grumpy this entire weekend. He was constantly very surly in the kiss and cry. Was he texting Atari constantly because she wasn't there? He was constantly on his phone and looked very upset with the kids. They were not pleasing. Was he annoyed that he had to be there? I mean, Hot Sergei used to take the kids to this event.
Right.
So I don't know. He looked very grumpy this weekend. I wasn't sure about Sergei Dudikov.
But it's interesting because now, do you pronounce it Alisa?
Alisa, I think.
Alisa, okay. She almost interested me the most. I thought her body was sort of the most centered and had the most core. And so it's interesting as we talk about this shift towards everything up. So has gone the center of gravity. A lot of these girls are up here, like this is hoisted, this is pinched. And she was one that really seemed in her body, like in her knees, in her legs, like kind of had this mobility from her hips almost, where all of the other girls seemed here. So I don't know. So she interested me in that way.
I thought that Lyubov's jumps looked a little questionable to me. She's also tinier than the other girls. I thought that there was like a Satchiko vibe to the jump.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting how the females seem so much more advanced technically than the males. The fact that they were going for quads.
Well, yeah, because for instance, so what were the two names of the guys you posted on the channel?
Nikolai Kolesnikov.
It was okay. So he was new to me, and he did.
He has the long hair and the nice extension, and he had
some quad attempts.
He had a really rough free skate, but he did well in the jump, the elements competition, and in the short program.
Yeah.
Then Arseny was like the little engine that could, because he has.
Who I prefer.
I love Arseny, but he has struggled with getting the triple axel, and there was one competition where he attempted a quad sow and it did not land it. And the triple axel is not happening.
Yeah.
So remember, that has been the rag on the Atari technique, is that they cannot teach the axel or the salgo, and he hasn't got it yet, and it's worrying. But
but he again like skates so from his core. It is so beautiful.
But his actual jump elements, he had a great triplets in combination. His short program reminds me of Stefan Lambiel. It reminds me of this exhibition that he did at the Unichem show in LA, and I will link to it. But he was so good. He has amazing twizzles. He's got amazing footwork, almost like Kurt Browning, ability in terms of the feet. He has such innate talent and innate showmanship. I don't think the free program is up to his level at all. I think it's garbage compared to how good he is. So I don't know. He should work with Lambiel. Get him as a choreographer. But they probably can't, because he's now has too much of his own school. But I thought that kid is amazing. Bring in Averbuk, because Averbuk worked with him on the Ice Age show, I think. So or at least that was his show. So I would bring that in. I mean, that's his talent is like
he has some really beautiful skating. Yeah,
way above what Danny G can do. Did you notice that? I think it was Lyubov.
Trace the ice.
And Terry Trope drew on the ice, if you will. I wasn't sure if that was that
and then lifted up the painting, and I was like, and here's the thing, and again, I know I harp on this, but I don't understand how he's listening to the music. So like sometimes the music would start and be like boom, boom, and he's like already done like 5 kicks and like a flail, and you're like, whoa. Listen to the music. This isn't that part. Like, and then when the music does get more involved, it's matched with like some steps into a double axel. And you're like, what? If you just listen, it'll tell you what to do.
They're clearly not spending a lot of time on these programs. These are put together on an assembly line. They have so many skaters.
Yeah.
If he's choreographing for everyone.
Well, and how could you be inspired if you're doing your 800th program that day? Yeah.
Come on, they are just churning these out.
Yeah.
That's why they need more choreographers in this school. But I wonder if they figured it out financially, that it's like much more inexpensive for them and they get the marks anyway, so who cares?
Kind of, but I feel like the groundwork is laid here for who becomes a performer and who can hold a moment, and like all of that stuff could be happening now, but obviously is not for most.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, the whole thing that I had to remember, like the ages of these children, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is
it is very intense. Tell that to Sofia's mother, okay?
Yeah.
Or Plushenko, who now has to coddle and calm that situation down.
Oof. I do not envy it.
Imagine the drama, and like, because I was looking at the results and I didn't see the results of the free skate, but I believe that Atari only had there's a younger age division, and I think the Atari rank only had like places 6 and 7. I thought, oh, they're gonna have to poach some people from the other school. And it's so funny, someone could explain this who understands the Russian and the name of the school, but when you go on, if you automatically translate the names of the schools, one of them comes up to the Beetlejuice team every time. It has to be like a bad translation, but it's like hysterical as that's a movie in the US. And that is like, just like
probably lost in translation. Yeah.
Yes. Oh that's gosh. Okay. Delina was telling me that Jeffrey Bottle's name is very funny to Russians because it's like Jeffrey bottle of water.
Okay. Amazing.
It's like, okay. Yes.
Amazing. Okay.
It's been a gem this week. Okay. Oh man. And so we did see in Korea, they always have the nationals and then they have that ranking competition. And remember they were flying
so quickly right afterwards. It just felt like, I was like, didn't we just do this? We literally just did Korean nationals, same skaters, same programs, except a couple of different performances.
The funniest thing to me was that the short program results were exactly the rankings for like the world team. It was literally Yelim Kim, Haein Lee, Young-Yu, Eunsoo.
But I have to say, I thought Eunsoo did much better in this short. And Young-Yu again, crashed on the triple axel and stayed down a while.
Yeah,
like that was a really disruptive. They all seemed so tired. Junhwan, Ja, especially. I mean, it looked like they all needed a coffee or a B12 shot or something like that because everyone was just like bringing themselves onto the ice.
Well, for him, I was thinking it has to be very hard to compete because he's expected to win every time. He's being coached over Zoom and not really being coached by Brian Orser, and probably not training with guys that are at a high level as he's used to. And he's got a costume that looks like it has an open back. What is going on there with that?
I know, but except it's loose. Like, so I was like, if that is supposed to be your back, it does not look right.
Dorothy Zbornak wore that, right? When she was substituting. Right?
But except she would have had like something sequence underneath it.
Do you think it's open because it's so hot in the lanai that like
exactly
it's like air conditioning?
Yeah, it gets breezy. It's drafty. Yeah.
What is going on with that costume? I don't know.
It's quite distracting. It's quite distracting.
It's very blousy. I understand. I love the music, but not necessarily what he does with it. To me, he looks derivative of other skaters, and I want to see him develop his own look and point of view on the ice.
So I got really into his skating when he first did the Romeo and Juliet program.
Yes.
When there
was
lovely
qualities,
and there was that footwork sequence that came with sort of like the club music sort of part of it, and I thought, oh, is this who he is? Like this kind of, he was a bit more casual about it, flippant almost, but yet really moved well, I thought. And they've not really sort of honed a voice for him or like a point of view for his skating. And I wish they had gone sort of that route, made him a little cool that way right now. And I am going to say this about the ladies too. It seemed like they were going for like least offensive. Everyone was sort of generic, lovely music, generic, lovely skating, generic, lovely moves for a lot of it.
Was there a sale on pastels at Lisa McKinnon? Because all those Korean ladies had these like...
It's almost Easter, Dave.
They looked like the Stations of the Cross, which is so funny to me because I have been thinking about a deep purple costume, like a deep dark purple to mix with black.
Like Eunsoo short?
Darker.
Okay.
Almost like the Alexa and Chris color from last year, but mixed with black. And I'm going to Matthew Caron for my costume.
Oh, he does such exquisite work. Okay.
And Galena goes, no, it is like Christ on the cross.
The purple, because it's like a Lent thing?
I guess.
Well, again, I think I've said it on the show.
I thought she was going to like purple because maybe too feminine or what, but no.
Oh, but see, there's a thing, like, again, in opera, you're never supposed to wear purple because it's like exclusively this royalty thing. So like if you were in the opera, the
royalty, damn it.
I knew you were going to say that. But it's funny. It's a color that's very polarizing. Yeah.
Like you should look like old dried blood. That should be the color. I was like, wait. I'm going to wear dark maroon. You know it. You know it. And then she sends me a picture and I give her two options, dark red or dark maroon. Oh, I like the second. It's going to be dark maroon.
Okay, there you go.
You know, then 2014, I had no money for skating. I bought a maroon shirt and pants and was like, budget Paul Wiley from Unicorn.
Amazing.
This is going to be a higher end version. It's fine. You know what?
Lovely. An upgrade. The quality you deserve, Dave.
I was trying to do something different. I was trying to go against type and like really got into this color.
Silly you.
It's all right. It's all right. You know what? We didn't need that purple. It was fine. Okay.
Yeah. You transcend color, Dave. Amazing. But yes, I did think that this was like one of those like Easter parade sort of things with the same kind of
Easter parade. You mean directed by Vincent Minnelli? I mean,
of course, yes, the one and only.
Liza's father. It was her birthday the other day. Yeah,
that's right. I saw some great people posting such funny clips of her. She's so funny. Great Muppet Show episode when she hosts.
I mean,
she's great.
She's in Muppets Take Manhattan.
Is she? I knew Joan was. I guess I didn't realize Liza also was.
Kermit go to eat at Sardi's?
Oh, yes, he does. Is she in that scene?
Isn't she in that scene?
You know, it's so funny. That one wasn't released in the same way Great Muppet Caper, the Muppet movie, and all the other ones were released. So for a long time, I didn't have that one. So that's the one I know the least.
I think we taped it off of TV. I think.
Okay.
We used to have a VHS tape. I want to say it was taped off of TV with commercial breaks.
Okay.
I think. Anyway, I'm remembering they go to Sardi's and her picture is there. I think And isn't that the same one where Joan Rivers is in it and they're putting on Rouge?
They're in Bergdorf's, yeah. And she's doing
Rouge. You need Rouge.
So funny.
And is Lily Tomlin in it, or she was just a phone operator on the Muppet? Anyway, mixing Muppet things in my mind. But apparently the Muppet Show is very offensive, and there's now a disclaimer on old episodes.
Yeah, on certain episodes. I mean, it's antiquated, so there's some antiquated terminology and puppetry happening. But I still think they're definitely worth watching. So I'm glad they kept them, but with that disclaimer. The Nureyev episode, I'm telling you,
horrible. But like, you know when something's offensive and you're like, oh, you shouldn't watch it. I'm like, wait, what was I watching as a kid that was offensive? What was I missing? That probably went over my head as a kid, or was it communicating ideas that I didn't realize, right?
Well, that's something interesting about, now we're just on a side topic, but that was always something interesting about the Muppets is like adults could watch it with children and they would have two totally different takeaways. I would love to watch the Muppets now because there's all this adult humor that was going over my head as a kid. And then as a kid, I was loving the stuff that as an adult, I don't even care about. I don't know. It's a pretty amazing thing.
I just wonder what's in those Muppet Show episodes, because
I think actually it might be some of the actual puppets.
I mean, some of these Muppets were like yellow and blue, and I don't know. Like, yeah, maybe some of them are supposed to be different races, and you just completely like miss it as a kid. So
no, crazy.
I don't know. I didn't think that deeply about it, but now
I have been going down like a Disney Plus deep dive with them.
Apparently some of
again there's some amazing
it's quite racist in Dr. Seuss.
Even though, and of course those books that were brought up I had never even heard of, so I was unfamiliar with them.
This is great publicity for Dr. Seuss. Now they're making so much money. They're conservative, out buying as many books as they can because he's getting banned. Great publicity.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh.
Listen, would I have watched the Muppet Show if there wasn't a big scandal about it? I don't know. Now I'm like, oh.
I would have.
But I mean, I always liked the movies better than the show. But now I want to check out the show. It
depends. When you go and realize how many celebrities did it, I mean, there's a whole, they go to the Muppetopolitan Opera Theater or whatever, and Beverly Sills is singing with Miss Piggy, and then, but again, the Nureyev episode is quite excellent. Madeline Kahn has one that's so good.
All right, I'm good.
Yeah, it's worth it. I
want to know which ones have the disclaimers, and I'm going to watch those first. Okay.
Well, that's like back when they used to do those banned books. That was like the surefire way to get your book read.
Listen. How do Little Rascals not have disclaimers on them? Buckwheat was just as a girl in almost every episode. Okay, what? I don't think the Little Rascals are okay. No one is talking about them. Justice for the
Justice for, yeah, okay. But also justice for Eunsoo, because I actually thought at this event, I was really happy to see her do as well as she did. She
died later on in the East of Eden program. It had more life to it.
Yeah.
She was rotating more of the triples. It looked like she couldn't rotate any of those doubles. Did all of her doubles look cheated to anybody else? Like
100%. I mean, she was twizzling on the ice for some of them, but still, it was just an energetic difference that I was so happy to see.
So that made me wonder if she wasn't training full program. You know, it's very hard to stay motivated during quarantine when you don't know if these events are going to happen.
Right.
So, listen, that's the problem I'm in this year. We didn't think adult nationals were going to happen.
Well, I'm supposedly doing a live opera in June.
Oh.
That's outdoors. But same thing. I was like, I'm not taking out that score and practicing it until I know for sure.
But is your voice in good shape? Is it ready to go?
I mean, same thing. Like occasionally I like warm it up and like sing some stuff, but without that goal in mind, it's hard to know why.
So I wonder if Eunsoo was injured or something, but the thing is that it was the end of December and we hadn't heard anything about it. Like, plus I had an injury. I mean, I was so behind for so many reasons this year, but just kind of thought like, oh, I guess it's not happening this year. So, I mean, you know, big nationals were a stretch. So that happening and moving along. And then the thing comes out and it's like, wait a second. We have like maybe 2.5, 3 weeks until the testing deadline because they have nationals in June, but they didn't move the February 1st testing deadline. So you're like, wait. And I'm kind of like, I competed at bronze years ago and I've been getting things back, and some things were at a higher level, some things maybe weren't. I mean, like, we just hadn't put a program together, and it was like, okay. And so there was kind of what wound up happening was like I was debating for 2 days, should I do bronze or should I do silver? Should I do bronze or should I do silver? Okay. And some of the crazy adults, so the same ones who would go up to the judges and argue their things, like, oh, just put a program together and do it. And I'm like, I have zero stamina right now. Like, and I'm not the kind of person that just goes and like wings a program before the judges, like Nicole Bobek's it, and think it's going to go well. Like, that's not my personality. Like, that's not how I operate. Like,
that's not enjoyable for you. Yeah.
You know, I've been planning that program for a long time, and like, so then my dad had, like, literally the next day my dad had COVID, so I was off the ice, and then I got COVID. So it wound up deciding it for me. But even for someone saw my program, they're like, oh, so you're sandbagging it. And I was like, no, actually, no. But like, this is like a very clear year, and like, you know, the adult rules. And actually, I'm just trying to survive my program because Galina keeps making it harder by the day. So literally, you know, I take an edge class. I work with Igor on something. I learned a back outside twizzle. She saw that I could do it, and she's like, you need to be a double. All right, we're putting it in your footwork. Like, what? Like, I literally just learned this move, like, maybe not footwork ready. Listen, it's a double outside twizzle at the beginning of the footwork. There's a forward 2.5 twizzle at the end now. There's changing direction. We're go highs and lows in the footwork. It is insane. It's an adult bronze program. I mean, usually people are doing like three turns and a mohawk and calling it a day, Jonathan.
And doing it confidently. Yeah, I mean, I would feel overwhelmed to feel like I had to do so much so quickly. Yeah.
So I've literally been training the program. Okay, so she made me do it for the first time with all the elements, no warning, on Tuesday. And I survived. I died after practice, but I survived. Made it through, skipped conditioning that night. We didn't do it on Friday. We were like working on other things, and it was a horrible session. There's one session that I really avoid because it's such a mix of people, and there are some people that don't care if you're an adult skater. They're not moving for you. They don't, and it's like weird stuff with kids. Then we have one adult skater who like is ice dancing by herself out to lunch, always in everyone's way, knowing what the situation or diagnosis is there. You have 2 synchro girls that don't jump, so they are in their own work. It is such a mishmash of people on this one session. It's the session that I cried on that one time. So let me tell you, there is something about that session. It's just bad
energy. Yeah.
It is a mix of people and not enjoy. So it's just been so I now run the program, doing the footwork like 20 times, try to get it. I mean, I'm as nervous for the footwork as I am for anything else in that program. So.
Well, I mean,
it is a
hard. Yeah.
There is no rest in that program at all. So there is no downtime. We are just booking it. So.
But you have time now.
It doesn't feel like I have time.
Okay.
It feels like we're grinding.
Okay.
Maybe I will get to June and feel like, oh, I'm really prepared and I have time. It doesn't feel like that. Because I was sick and coming back and I'm just not 1,000% where I would like to be. So
gotcha.
We're getting there. So who knows? My one good friend that I was looking forward to see at Nationals, my friend Chris, had his appendix out this week. So, I mean, things could be worse. So, you know, will he compete?
Well, and it's like you say, it's not even that you had an injury, but then it's when you come back from an injury or appendicitis or whatever, like that there's all that rebuild up time. You're getting everything going. Like even after my surgery, I just went on my like walk and I was like, am I sore right now? Like what's happening? Yeah, it's nuts.
I mean, I don't know who's competing or not. I'm competing against myself to get ready. That's pretty much the way I look at it. Yeah. I'm looking at it to survive this program.
And you just want to skate well. You're not in it to win. You're in it to get that footwork out.
I'm literally hoping to skate well. I hope I do not die. So Yes.
You got this. You got this.
We'll see. We'll see. It's a work in progress. Okay.
I remember the last time around, weren't you doing like 18 run-throughs back to back?
Yeah, but the program
something?
was easier. And it was, I didn't, I trained on a smaller rink there, and it was just like a different vibe. I train on a big rink, I skate with different people, I feel more prepared. I've done it before. You don't know what you don't know when you're going into it for the first time.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. I was just like, not really feeling, I don't think I felt ready, even though, but everything is crazy. I thought Eunsoo, getting back to her, completely looked beautiful. And if she could train this and really work.
She has that intangible thing. Yeah.
But there are 4 other girls in South Korea, if not 5, who are going to take it from her.
Right. And they don't have that intangible thing, but they are training and have the consistency.
I do think that Yelim Kim, she was always kind of like the Marie Satskova of Korea. I do think she's performing more. And is it my imagination, or has she really gotten a lot stronger physically?
Well, the jumps seem higher for sure.
Jumps were looking like Yuna jumps to me. She skates with more power. I saw some Yuna choreography, Jumikins, that I saw she was looking more. He did her short program over. He had a cool post on his, he has a cool post on his Instagram about how they choreographed it over Zoom, 16-hour time difference and things apart. And they drew, interesting to see. I think she looks much more mature, much more confident. And it looks like she's grinding to get better. More powerful, maybe a different off-ice trainer, who knows, but whatever, she just looks strong. Those jumps are huge, although I have to say.
But she was one before that like lacked identity.
She lacked identity, but they found generic loveliness for her. Love story.
And it works.
It works.
Yeah.
But some of the
Flutzy, you're saying?
Were not kind. Go back and watch it.
Okay.
Maybe only an exclamation point, but I was like a clear one. Okay.
I just noticed so much more height in all of her jumps.
I knew this was going to happen. The debate has been about, should Haein Lee go to Worlds? Should Young-Yu go to Worlds? Young-Yu outskated Haein Lee in the free here. I don't know that I would, if I were the Federation, I don't know that I would yank Haein Lee. I feel like they've already made that decision. They need to go with it. You've already, I don't know that anything did well enough to displace someone, right? Like, I don't think they need to.
If she's botching all the triple axel attempts, and always in different ways. There was a pop, there was the fall where she stayed down for so long. It's been a rough season for her.
That makes me think that maybe Lori Parker knew that, maybe the Lori Parker of Korea knew that Young-Yu was struggling with the triple axel, and they went with Haein Lee on the components. Yeah. Even though Haein Lee is no longer a black swan, she's fire dancing again. And I think fire dancing is the right thing, but it looks like she hasn't practiced this program. Maybe she forgot it. The rhythm.
Yeah, I wondered, why do you think they switched that out?
I feel that her Swan Lake felt like it was, or Black Swan felt like it was a Halloween costume put on her. The fire dance just looks so natural. Like she comes alive with music, although here it looked like we needed to rehearse it a couple of times.
Well, and that was the thing. So the overall impression was that I preferred the Black Swan, but perhaps with more, when she's more comfortable again in this program, she'll feel.
I always thought that the fire dance music like elevates her, like it makes me happy. Da 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 bam bam. You know, right?
Yeah.
The Black Swan seemed like a trope put on her that I was like, I don't know that that's her.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a bad program, but I don't think it was the best I've ever seen her look.
It was interesting. The program she has that interests me the least is actually the Ave Maria. That's the program I might have looked at, but I lost.
Jonathan, they may go switch her short program now. Okay, this girl is already trying to put, who is she? Alena Kostornaia, like changing programs.
She's gonna come back with Billie Eilish. Okay.
Poor girl, a Billie Eilish short for the free. This poor girl. Oh my God, I cannot wait to see Kostornaia do the old Billie Eilish, the Danny G program that she has to do at the Team Tutberidze show. That is petty. That is so petty.
That's petty. That's the right
and
word.
and hilarious. Petty and hysterical.
Okay.
Right? I'm certainly going to tune in. Whereas I might have just maybe
skip that
watched
one. Yeah.
No. Oh, Alena Kostornaia is doing the Danny G program that was allegedly the source of a lot of drama. I am watching, okay? I am not saying it is right. I am saying it is entertaining, okay?
Yeah. They're not mutually exclusive.
Okay. I just want to see, like, how different is this choreography? Were we offended by the Danny G? I don't know. Okay.
Probably.
Is it iconic? Is it as iconic as Mao slapping herself across the face like she did in Velvet Milestone? I'm here for it, Jonathan. I want to see over-the-top Billie Eilish wonderfulness.
Okay.
What a year for Billie Eilish. She's creating new fans in skating. They should invite her to the show, really.
For real, actually. Yeah, there's a whole market here now.
I mean, I'm now watching her documentary on Apple TV Plus, whatever it's called, because...
Yeah, exactly. Because of skating.
I will explain to your mother, who's 66, the difference between Apple TV and Apple TV Plus. I'm just saying, get a different name for your apps, okay?
Exactly.
It's very confusing for people.
Yeah.
Wait, and is the Apple TV on the Apple TV? What's it? What?
Yes, that's what...
Nightmare. Has anyone else had...
had to explain this to some people in your life. Yeah.
They just want to watch that show with Reese Witherspoon. Why are you making it so complicated?
Amazing.
Reese, what are you doing? How much are they paying you? Okay.
Must be a lot. Must be a lot.
Must be a real lot. So young you, yeah, I don't think that she slammed the door.
Yeah.
But did you see Jason Brown showed the quad cell, which he doesn't usually show, but he was showing it. It looked a little Q-ish, but
we'd take it.
I thought, oh, are we feeling more confident with it? Is it in the program? What's going on? That was a little bold for Jason. I thought, okay.
Yeah.
We don't usually see him like
promote that kind of way. Yeah.
Yeah, usually when he's promoting on Instagram, it's some like gorgeous program he's doing. We're all fainting over it.
Yeah.
All right. And did you see Kolyada's quad cell that he did at the Misha on the Misha like video? So
lovely. So I have such high hopes. I'm afraid he's gonna be like my next heartbreak. Yeah, amazing. But I have to say, like, even after like this week and these events, I am so ready for a world championships that is like in like a great looking arena with like professional coverage, you know, all this sort of stuff. It feels like sometimes in the summer when we watch the Skate Detroit or Liberty or all that sort of stuff, I'm so ready for just like an official looking gorgeous competition.
Well, I've noticed that people have been semi-involved in skating. Some of the usual fans that like we've gotten to know through the comments and tweeting and Instagram, not consistently watching every week, maybe watching some weeks, not watching every week. And I think a lot of it's because there haven't been Grand Prix events and it's been different. There's been lots of other political things going on, people in all different spaces in their lives and who's working, who's not, and you know, lots of different things going on. And I imagine this world's hopefully can kind of bring people together because people usually come in for nationals and the worlds. And I get excited when we're all like watching something.
It's like the people that only go to church on Easter and Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they always come around for the Olympic season.
Right.
The Whitney Federhoffs, the Barbie backstage types.
That's right.
You know, where's the guy that was in the Staircase documentary? He hasn't been tweeting at us. Like, what's going on with these people? Where are they? They're going to come around for Worlds, just you, and they're going to have as strong opinions as ever.
Right.
Because we do get a lot of comments. People are saying, like, I'm so sick of watching all of the Russians. It's like, well, it's been the only game in town.
I'm thankful for their coverage, you know, whatever we may feel about the fact that they're all happening, but like, at least it gave us something, you know, even when we did nationals, there was like a quasi sense of normalcy to it. That was nice. And I hope that happens again with Worlds.
Yeah. I am so ready for it. There's
same.
It's So we will be back next week with Megadoo Hamill to preview the World Figure Skating Championships. So I'm very excited. Yes.
She's so good when she's on, I think.
I know. I cannot wait. Holden Edgen looks sexy, everyone.